Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and starting off this year with some of that gaming love, I wanted to talk about one of the worst awards things that I've seen of 2024 so far. This is the 2023 Steam Awards, okay? A user-voted community pool of what wins on Steam, okay? And quite possibly it has some of the dumbest picks that I've ever seen, and one of my picks got snubbed, so I'm going to be using this video to kind of talk about some of these wins, but also I want to talk about some of the actual standouts that should have gotten mentioned or should have won, okay? This is going to be a little bit of a nerdy video for me. I'm going to keep things very positive because there are some really fun things for me to talk about in this, and there are really, really crappy games for me to rip on, so let's get started, okay? Now, this is the 2023 Steam Awards. We've got the Game of the Year. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure that if you're blind watching my videos, you probably can already tell Baldur's Gate 3 won, okay? That's not a shocker, okay? Baldur's Gate 3 wins pretty much every award. You have to, stop it from winning certain awards. And I can't deny it. I'm basically playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now, and 30 hours into the Act 1, okay? That's just the first act of the game. 30 hours. All right, that's a full game in other circles, okay? I finished, Final Fantasy VII Remake faster than the first act of Baldur's Gate 3. This is a game that is an old school CRPG, Dungeons and Dragons, we are talking point and click, we are talking tactically handled combat, and there are 10 different ways to do every single objective in this game. If you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, the first act alone, which is pretty much where I'm at, you will go through so many different locations, you will go through so many different quests, and the ways that you can do all of those quests, at least from my understanding and from my experience, there are so many avenues to go down, okay? If you, for example, find one quest, there's probably 5 or 6 different ways of handling it, okay? Some characters you meet may play a big role in Act 2 or 3. I haven't gotten there yet, but that's just the amount of depth and complexity this game offers, okay? Larian Studios is not screwing around. And being somebody that cannot do D&D in real life, because playing with people that take 20 minutes per combat round to make their fucking decisions, yeah, I can't do it, okay? Especially dealing with a GM that can't do their basic calculations is beyond me. This game does it all for me, and that's pretty much all I care about, okay? Plus, it helps having 3D graphics to experience the world around it, okay? Christ, some things you just need. Now, then they got the VR Game of the Year award. I really have nothing more to say over here. I'm not the biggest VR player in the world, so I'm glad that Labyrinthine won. It's basically a co-op survival horror game, and y'all know playing a survival horror game in VR is pretty damn poggers. And then, of course, you get the Labor of Love Award, okay? Now, I'm pretty sure if you were reading the title of this video, this is the part where you got me. Because I'm fucking pissed looking at this dog shit of a video game winning Labor of Love Award. And you might be like, well, Muta, Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't bad. You're right. Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't bad. I've been replaying that game. Great story, okay? One of the best looking games I've ever played. But read the description of this goddamn award. This game has been out for a while. The team is well past the debut of their creative baby. But being the good parents they are, these devs continue to nurture and support their creation. This game, to this day, is still getting new content after all these years. What a lie, dude! Listen, man, as somebody that is a fan of Rockstar Games, okay, I got a love-hate relationship with them. It's abusive at times, I agree. Dog, when was the last time Red Dead Redemption 2 got an update? Let's look at these patch notes real quick, boys. What do you notice really important about the latest patch notes? Dog, that was updated March 30th, 2023. It's been some months since this has actually been updated. And what do they add to it, ladies and gentlemen? Nonsense. BS crap for Red Dead Online that didn't really amount to much. This game, Rockstar thought, would be their second cash cow after GTA Online. Their only downside here was realizing that in Grand Theft Auto, you can put jetpacks, the stupid motorcycle with missiles, the Oppressor Mark II, but it takes some serious writing leaps of logic okay? Like some serious chat GPT 0.5 to possibly input an Oppressor Mark II into Red Dead Online. See, the fact that the game takes place in 1919, or 1911, whatever the year might be, the game actually does not allow you to have crazy flying vehicles and rocket, like, heat-seeking missiles. Trust me, if Rockstar Games could find a way to put in a time machine chronologically or like lore-wise into the game, they would, just to make Red Dead Online as profitable as GTA Online. But it isn't. It doesn't have the same player base, doesn't make the same money, so they stopped giving a shit about it. This is a game that would have been a labor of love had Rockstar made actual single-player DLC for it. Something like Undead Nightmare 2. But see, Rockstar Games never did that. So the fact that they haven't updated this game for fucking months, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how anybody could vote this as a Labor of Love award. But of course, look at all these other games. You got Deep Rock Galactic, you got Rust, you got Apex Legends, you got Dota 2. The key difference here is all four of these games have actually been updated, from my understanding, more recently than this cowboy game. But of course, this is a user award, so I wanted to make sure and check if maybe there was some trolling going on the old 4chan. Maybe somebody organized this. Unfortunately, I couldn't really find a post. But what I did find a post for was Most Innovative Gameplay, Starfield. Boy, we're gonna get that one real quick. But we've got a few more awards to come across first. Best Game on Steam Deck. So Hogwarts Legacy, can't deny it. I looked at the finalists. Obviously, I would say Diablo 4 might be the best case, because this game is basically designed to make you fall asleep, and that's where I play my Steam Deck most of the time, so I think that should be the best game on the Steam Deck. It is literally a game that puts me to sleep. And by the way, I'm someone that played Shenmue, okay? Trust me, if doing a forklift 9-to-5 job is somehow more exciting than Diablo 4, that's a crime right there. I also haven't finished Hogwarts Legacy, but I did play it on the Steam Deck. It runs okay, 30 frames a second, which is the baseline for a handheld system. I'm not going to complain too hard. Better with Friends. So Lethal Company wins this, and I looked at all the other awards, and actually Lethal Company does deserve to win this. These other four games, I think Party Animals is good. Sons of the Forest makes me want to die. Warhammer Darktide I haven't played, and Sunken Land seems fun, but Lethal Company is just fun with your boys, okay? Me, Kyle, and Amaru have been playing this game pretty much as we logically can when our schedules align, and we love Lethal Company. It is a banger. Outstanding Visual Style Award. Okay, so I guess this is the best looking game. So, or one that has a striking art style. Now, Atomic Heart won this, and I really don't know, other than the kind of like communist, like post-Soviet, like Bioshock aesthetic it's got going on. How is it that something like System Shock Remake didn't win? If it was up to me, I would have put that as a finalist. If you haven't played System Shock Remake, it is a remake of an old DOS-era shooter, okay? One of the first Metroidvania-style games before Metroidvania was a thing. But System Shock Remake was actually such a good game that, visually speaking, it had striking scenery. It was a game that was basically built with the bells and whistles of the Unreal Engine, but they kept that like old school MS-DOS era like visual style on the texture work, the enemies, the animations. So you got this kind of cool blend between modern rendering techniques and old school design. And a lot of it came together to create a really chilling, haunting, sci-fi Metroidvania horror game. That's one of the things that I really wish was brought into it. That is a game that is so fun to play that I actually went through it pretty much in 2 days. Like, my hours in that game are literally spanned across 2 or 3 days. And if I play your game for 2 to 3 days straight, that just means you made a really good game. System Shock Remake should have at least been on here for visual style. Hell, it should have been a contender for Game of the Year. If you're somebody that likes sci-fi, some horror, some exploration, hell, you like a bit of everything good, that's a game you gotta play. The fact that it hasn't been brought in here is just, again, kind of damning. So Most Innovative Gameplay Award is where I'm fucking done, dude. Okay, so Starfield wins. Now, if you're noticing, I actually did put a vote in. And I put a vote for Shadows of Doubt, okay? To give you an idea about Shadows of Doubt, let me explain how brilliant this game is. It is a completely procedurally generated detective game. So that means the city is randomly generated, the businesses are randomly generated, every room, every floor, every NPC, everything is randomly generated. And it's generated so well that all of these randomizations come together to create a cohesive city. So what happens in this game is you play as a detective that murders happen in real time around you. So anytime you spot a murder, the game will radio you up. It'll be like, hey, dead body located here. You find that apartment, you go there, you break into the crime scene, you check for fingerprints, you scan for everything around the apartment, you scan for things that are missing. Maybe there's a bullet casing, maybe you might find a murder weapon, maybe you might find a fingerprint that you can't match. So you have to go through the game's world and interview people, stalk people, okay, break into businesses, sift through trash, break into government databases to get fingerprint identification, and actually map out an entire crime scene. Do actual detective work to figure out a crime. That's how brilliant that game is. It is one of the most innovative games that I have played in 2023. There is no other game that has come close. And the amount of hours I put into it is reflective. I played this game for days straight because it was that good. It was a game where I literally had to rack my brain. I hated it at first because I couldn't think outside the box. I was too game focused. Eventually, it was one of those games where I woke up at 1 in the morning, immediately ran over to my computer and finished a case because I had a eureka moment. That's how good it was. If a game makes you do that, it is absolutely worth the money spent. So anyways, I don't know much about any other game in this list, but I do know Starfield. And Starfield is possibly one of the Starfield is just Fallout 4 in space. So I'm going to give you the most stone cold take imaginable, okay? Bethesda hasn't made a good RPG since Morrowind, okay? Yes, The Elder Scrolls Morrowind is the last good Bethesda RPG. After that, when they made Oblivion, look, I liked Oblivion, but it was a massive step down after the world of Morrowind. Skyrim, you know where the phrase, oh, wide as a lake, deep as a puddle came into? That's Skyrim. It's a game that has a massive world for you to look around, but it takes all of the RPG elements that made Daggerfall, Morrowind, even Oblivion beautiful, and cranked them down so even the most casual of casual persons could load in and be like, yeah, I'm playing an RPG. Oh yeah, I'm making my character. Oh yeah, I'm making some choices. Skyrim might be Skyrim is like the KFC of RPGs, okay? All right, it's just generically terrible fried chicken RPG. You could spend the 5 minutes driving over to Popeyes, okay? But let's say you're lazy and you wouldn't do that. At least you got Skyrim on every corner. That's the problem, okay? Now, Fallout, I love Fallout 3. I think Fallout 3 is a great game. I'm not going to ever say it's a good RPG. That's a blatant lie. Okay, you put me up to a polygraph and I tell you Fallout 3 is good. That thing is going to go I might break the polygraph. It's not a great RPG. It's a fine game. Nostalgia gets me. Why you would... New Vegas, great game. Actual choices there as an RPG. Fallout 4. Take Fallout 3's choices, rip them away. Fallout 4 is quite possibly the most generic brand RPG to exist out there. Only ever finished it once, and that's because I just speed ran the last half. Starfield is if you take the map of Skyrim, all the holds and different provinces, and just yoink them out and put them on different planets. That game, Starfield, is a game where you are constantly going from loading screen to loading screen. It has more loading screens per minute than an installation of Windows back in the DOS era, okay? You probably have to switch floppy disks less to install Windows back in the old days than go through Starfield's like loading screen menace, okay? It's a loading screen to get out of a planet, loading screen to go into your ship, loading screen to go to another planet, loading screen to go in between buildings. It's insanity. But beyond all of that immersion breaking, nothing in that game is any cut above any other previous Bethesda title. The shooting mechanics are ripped straight out of Fallout. The enemy variety isn't exactly there. In fact, exploring those randomly generated planets is boring as hell. No matter what Bethesda PR ever wants to comment on any of their reviews, like, hey man, exploring real planets wouldn't be that exciting either. They're all mostly the same shit. It's a video game! Make it exciting! Exploring is probably the most boring part of Starfield, okay? You pick a planet, you pick a point on the planet, you land there, there's 3 randomly generated prefabs, and it's all just rock or whatever fucking biome you're floating around in. It's not fun. It's the most boring part. The most exciting part about Starfield is just the handcrafted quests that exist. So you do a bunch of the side stuff after what, like 10, 15 hours? You're pretty much done through the good shit anyways. The game, I haven't even finished it because it's that boring. The main quest puts me to sleep. Puts me to sleep like Diablo 4. How is it innovative? What does it do that's exactly different from anything else? Look, Starfield might be a fine exploration game, okay? But if you wanted to have actual exploration, why am I not playing something like No Man's Sky? It might be a fine jack-of-all-trades space game, okay? If you really had no other space game to play, sure. Why wouldn't I just play Freelancer if I wanted proper, like, space combat, or at least fun space combat? Why am I not playing No Man's Sky if I wanted actual exploration? Starfield is not an innovative game. It's just Fallout in space. Even the settlement mechanic. Somebody tried explaining to me, oh, it's a really good settlement mechanic. Dog, did you play Fallout 4? Did you play Fallout 76? All right. Yeah, it ain't that exciting. It's the same exact thing carried over. Look, you might fall for Todd's sweet little lies, but I don't. I don't anymore. It's boring. It's just a shame that Shadows of Doubt had to pretty much lose that list. But then again, the best game you suck at, Sifu? Get out of here. I don't suck at Sifu. You do. Best soundtrack award? Oh, please tell me what else won here. How did Hi-Fi Rush or Pizza Tower lose to The Last of Us? I'm so done with The Last of Us. You know something about The Last of Us? It's an overrated game, okay? 100%. It was fun playing it for the first time. Last of Us 2, I played it for the first time, had a good time with it. It is nothing more than a cinematic third-person shooter, okay? That's it. The soundtrack isn't even that crazy good in it anyway, especially comparing it to something like Pizza Tower. The ending theme to Pizza Tower, when you're finishing a level, clears anything in the Last of Us franchise. But it is what it is, okay? I guess this wins. Sure, it had to win something. Outstanding Story-Rich Game Award. You already won Game of the Year, dude. I mean, come on. What more do you want to win? Come on, man. Baldur's Gate 3 just clears everything. Sit back and relax reward, okay? Maybe I do need to do some of this after this blood pressure raising video. And you know what? Dave the Diver is actually winning. How the fuck did City Skyline 2 get into the finalists, okay? NASA's, you know what? The best supercomputer in the world couldn't even run City Skyline if it wanted to. That's how unoptimized that game is. But Dave the Diver, super solid game for a Steam Deck. I'm going to play that and wind down a little bit. But yeah, I wanted to talk about some games I was interested in. And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, Shadows of Doubt, brilliant game. System Shock Remake, brilliant game. That said though, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. Tomorrow we're talking about your Google account and why it might be at risk.